Welcome back. You're watching Business 360. Now, as we enter 2023, how is consumer sentiment shaping up in the year ahead? Well, according to a survey by Axis My India, Indians spent more on household expenditures and less on health. The survey also found that Indians have been saving more. Shilpa Rani Beta now joins us with the key trends and the key takeaways. Shilpa, over to you.
Well, higher household expenditures, lesser spend on health and more savings. That's the sentiment among consumers as we enter 2023. Now, this is according to a consumer data intelligence company, Axis My India's Consumer Sentiment Index for January. Now, the Net Consumer Sentiment Index score, which reflects consumer sentiment in the past month of December, has improved over the last month to 8 points, with the score hovering around between 7 to 10 points in the last 6 months. Now, this survey looks at household spends and trends covering media, consumption, entertainment and tourism as well. Now, a sample size of around 10,000 people across India, 70% of who are from rural India and the remaining from urban, and a majority of the respondents are male. Now, the biggest takeaways from the survey is that household expenses in December has gone or remained same for about 91% of those surveyed, and of this, it has increased significantly for about 40%. Why? Largely because of rising inflation, higher health-related spend, and also reduced income. And 86% of those who were surveyed are spending less or more on essentials, while discretionary spending has gone up for just 7%, with 88 spending the same as last month. Now, these numbers are slightly lower than the December index, indicating some improvement in the sentiment, especially compared to the first half of the year, also reflected in the fact that 95% families are now getting out more for short vacations. And as we enter into the new year, financial goals are also taking precedence, especially amidst rising inflation and the pandemic-related uncertainties. Now, 34% are saving for their child's education, 14% for marriage, 8% to buy a house, and also to save for bad times. And looking ahead into 2023, what do consumers want? Well, they want more employment opportunities, better salary hikes, a curb on inflation, and also a better standard of living. Now, this overall, Axis My India says, reflects the sentiment or the current environment, which is of resilience and cautious growth.
Right, Shilpa, thanks a lot for that quick wrap of the highlights and the takeaways from that survey. But joining me now to discuss more about the survey is Pradeep Gupta, CMD, Axis My India. Mr. Gupta, thank you so much for joining us firstly. And the first question, if we look at the overall consumer sentiment index score, there is marginal improvement over December in the month of January, but it is lower than the first half of the last year. Your quick take on the consumer sentiment heading into 2023?
Thank you, Asmit, for having me here. The quick takeaways, I would say, from a future perspective, there is two aspects to our study. One is that what is your current consumption, spendings, the media consumption, the spendings, essential, non-essential household. And what is more important, Shilpa has already mentioned, the future outlook. That is more important. When we try and ask, are you planning to invest in the coming year? 16% said yes. 16%, though it may look a very, minuscule number, but let me tell you from how to read this data. See, there are about 90 crore people in the country who is 18 and plus age group. 18 and plus age group. So if you dissect further, 19 to 16%, which is 14 crore, which is a too substantial a number, particularly when your investors in a stock market is roughly 12 crore, investors in absolute term, in the absolute numbers. So that incremental of 2 crore is too big a number in that sense. And over and above, when your total income taxpayer in the country is roughly around 6.85 crore, and if you see the people who are ready to invest in future is pretty significant. And now the next question is how and where they want to invest. I think Shilpa missed out the data. The most important point is those who want to invest these 16%, if we take this as 100%, out of this, 16% say they want to invest in real estate, 13% say in business, 11% says in insurance, bank deposits 9%, mutual fund 5%, gold 5% and stock market 4%. This is the overall outlook, I would say, at this point of time. Yeah.
Mr. Pradeep, hi, Shilpa here. I just wanted to go back to touch on the household expenditure bit also. Now, the increase is slightly lower than last month. But is that only because of the health-related expenses going down? Or, I mean, is it fair to say that inflation is still pinching? Yeah, please go ahead.
Two things. One is that household income, you have to see from the other data point, which is the mobility. And particularly when it comes to the December month, the mobility has increased from 5 to 7, which is very significant in that sense, 28% high. So the moment you get out of home, naturally your household expenditure is going to lower. So that is the precisely reason why you can see the dip in the, or it is the same in the household spendings.
Right. And I also wanted to touch upon amongst the, if we look at the scope of the survey, right, I wanted to understand there are 39% were female. What has been the sentiment amongst women? Are they more optimistic than men are, or is it the other way around? What's the general consumer sentiment if you're looking at women?
Yeah, when it comes to women, it's all about basically two things. One is the household spending and the spendings on essentials.
Right.
So this is where their sentiments drive, and particularly when it comes to the inflation, if at all, and if their earnings or the income is limited and not increasing, then their sentiment get dipped. And over and above, if they have to spend on the health or the medical, the good news in this December month, they have spendings on the medical front has decreased substantially. And income, let me tell you also, we also asked, has your household income increased in last year? Let me tell you the answer. 10% says yes, it has increased significantly, 10%. It has increased marginally, 18%. So the total coming to the plus side, the increased side is 28%, whereas decreased, income decreased, 32% is saying income decreased, and about 41% saying the income is same. So I would say 28% in a way, it's a moderate number as compared to 32% those who are saying their income is decreased. This is what is also driving the sentiment.
Sure.
The income is the key driver apart from the spending.
Sure. Sure. Mr. Gupta, I'll just come in for a final question here. Ashmit again from Delhi studio. The question I want to ask is, there's a very distinct rural bias as far as respondents are concerned. 70% of the respondents were from rural India. I just want to get a sense, would the picture be very different if the ratio changed to say 50-50 and there were more respondents from urban centers, which is where you would imagine there would be more young people with jobs who are willing to save and invest? Would the picture change? Would your numbers tell a different story?
Yes, definitely yes. You are absolutely bang on and right. But when we do this study of all India level, we need to make sure and stratify our sampling to demographically and geographically representative. You are 100% right when you say it. When we try and dissect further, deep dive into the data sets, in the detail, you will find only if you select the urban sentiment, it is going to increase in the ratio of 70% to 30%. Which is urban is 30% in our data and 70% in this. And if you go further to the only data from the female, then you will find the totally different findings altogether. For that, I wish we have at least 1 hour show to detail discussion for this.
You're completely right on that, Mr. Gupta. Numbers on this scale will definitely merit a longer conversation, and we hope to connect with you again to take this conversation forward. But that's unfortunately all the time that we have on this Business 360. It's a wrap on this edition. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18. The news and updates will continue on the other side.